Hi friends, last Sunday was Easter and we celebrated the fact that Jesus came to be our Savior. He died on a cross and then he came back to life. When Jesus came out of the tomb, Jesus changed everything. He changed the way people thought about God. He made a way for us to have a relationship with God without our sin getting away. And that's not all. Jesus also changed the way we think about how we should treat people. The Apostle Paul wrote about that in a letter he wrote to the church in Philippi. We call it the book of Philippians. He wanted to encourage them to live like Jesus did. This is what he wrote in Philippians 2. Don't do only things to get ahead. Instead, be humble, value others more than yourself. As you deal with one another, you should think and act as Jesus did. Jesus was equal with God, but he didn't count himself that way. He was a servant in nature. These are really wise words. Notice that Paul went back to Jesus' example. He said that we should look at the way Jesus showed humility, and then we should choose to be humble ourselves. But what does that really look like? How do we stop and think of others and start putting them first? Well, let's think about what Paul wrote in his letter. We can start by remembering what Jesus did for us. Then we can choose to follow his example. We can be humble and show others that they're important. It's like walking around with a sign all day long going, "You're number one, you're number one." Like Paul wrote in his letter, it helps when you think back and remember what Jesus did for you. He always serves others. Paul said it this way, Philippians 2, 6 and 7, he said, Jesus was equal with God, but Jesus didn't take advantage of the fact. Instead, he made himself nothing. He did this by taking on the nature of a servant. I know this is tough when it comes to your family. It's difficult to choose to be humble when your brother or your sister are doing things that annoy you. But I know how you can start. It's like Paul said in his letter. You can start by thinking about Jesus. When you remember everything Jesus did for you, it's easy to put others first. There's a question that people used to ask a long time ago. And it's kind of silly, but I still wear a bracelet for it to remind myself. It's WWJD. What would Jesus do? I wear this bracelet each day to remind me to treat others the way Jesus did. When you feel frustrated, when you feel angry, it can be hard to stop yourself and remember what Jesus did. But it's important to push pause, take a breath, and then choose to respond in a humble way. What would Jesus do? He would choose humility. You can follow Jesus' example by putting others first. We can do it with God's help. In the description below, you'll find a WWJD bracelet you can print, decorate, and wear during the week to remember to put others first. Of course, there's a word search. Thanks for joining me today, friends. See you later.